Hello and welcome back, Michelle LeBeau. It has been a long time since you've been a guest on Unabashed You, and I just have been so excited to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's really fun. And it's just so fun to be with you.
Yes, it is. We haven't caught up in a long time, and
I know.
when you were on the show, I think was in year one, and so that was quite a while ago. And Michelle gave me some really great feedback at the time, which I instantly took to heart, and I think it just
Oh,
helped make the show even better. So I thank you for that.
oh, I'm so proud of you and how you developed this. It's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Michelle, let's get to know you a little bit better. Is there anything you want the listeners to know as we get started here?
Mm. Well, I guess I would say I'm kind of a complicated person. I don't fit in any box, and you'll get to see that a little bit as we talk here. Um, I think sometimes I'm not what people think when they meet me or see me or read my background or whatever. And
Right.
so, yeah, I think I've got multiple layers.
I think that's a good thing, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that about you. I really do.
Mm,
Yeah, complicated. Okay, I'm
yeah.
looking forward to hearing more about that.
Okay.
What three words would you describe? How would you describe yourself today in three words? Like either your mood
Yeah.
today or in this present time today.
I was thinking about that. I would say blessed. I feel very
Mm,
blessed at this period in my life, with just where my life is at and how God has worked in and through me up to this point. So I feel blessed. I feel expectant. I feel
mm,
expectant for what God is going to do. I feel a former pastor friend of mine said, when you're through learning, you're through.
ah,
And so I feel like even though I'm in my last phase of my career, I still am working on myself in a lot of ways. So I'm expectant for what God's going to do next.
love that.
I think the last word would be true. I'm really trying to, gosh, you get to be in your 60s and you're like, who am I? But I really am trying to be true to who I am, and that is in speaking my mind and sharing my opinions and not worrying about what others think or
Yes,
say. And so true, like no pretense and no, I'm not going to hide behind anything.
right.
And that can get me in trouble sometimes too.
Well, but you know what? I appreciate that you do that. And we follow each other on Instagram in addition to having known
Mhm,
each other, in
mhm.
sort of a previous iteration of time. I very much appreciate that you call a thing a thing. I mean, it's really it's a good thing. And I say keep at it, girl, for sure.
Thank you. I'm a very deep thinker. It's very hard for me to turn off my thoughts, and so sometimes I spew them out there, and then I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what people think. This is the way I feel.
Well, and I think that that is a gift of getting older. Hopefully, you're heading more
Yeah.
into that area and arena
Mhm.
of being confident, like you say, true in who you are, and like, well, this is my thought. This is how I feel. This
Mhm.
is my
Mhm.
opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but this
Yeah.
is this is it.
Yeah. Do you want to This is it. Yeah.
This is it. Love it. Is there something you've been watching lately that you can share with
Well,
us?
interesting. We're not big TV people. We watch the PBS NewsHour. We watch, as you know, Stephen
I
Colbert.
know, I know.
We watch reruns of the night before at dinner every night, which is just our lighthearted. We usually turn it off after the monologue or after the first guest, depending on who it is. And we watch concert movies and documentaries.
Oh,
We miss Yellowstone. I know
yeah.
it was kind of not the most edifying show, if you will, but we loved that series. We were just like riveted, and I haven't found anything like that since. I also watch other churches.
Oh,
Our favorite church is in New York. We found it during COVID, and
wow.
so when we're lazy on a Sunday morning, we watch Good Shepherd in New York, and it's my favorite church. If it was located here in San Diego, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But so we watch that, and I would rather, I mean, not rather, but we listen to a lot of music, as you also know that. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's on a Friday night or Saturday night, we'll either say, want to watch TV or you want to listen to music. And if we listen to music, it's just one long, let's play this, let's play that, and we just, sit in front of the fire in the backyard or whatever, and we just listen to music. So I love discovering new music. I'm always discovering new music, whether it's worship or whether it's secular. I just
Right.
love music, and so I would say we listen more to music than we watch anything.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
those are really good shares, and that's kind of why I like this question because it
yeah.
also tells us a little more about you. Plus, we get
Mhm.
some ideas for
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, that's great. Well, as you know, Michelle, we're in a series called "Spicy Christian Women Becoming All That in a Bag of Chips," and
So cute.
I've been reaching out and inviting on women that I think really exemplify that. And that, of course, that doesn't mean, like you said, we're not done and we don't want to be done until that last breath. We want to keep learning, we want to keep striving, being all that God wants us to be. So I thought it would just be so wonderful to have on different women that I look up to as being really steadfast and committed to being in this lane. So I thank you for that. Do you consider yourself brave, confident, spicy, any of those sorts of things?
Um, when it comes to brave, I look at it like professionally, I've become way more brave, trying new things, charting a new course, getting people, galvanizing people to go along with me, that kind of thing. I don't think I'm a big like risk taker anymore. Like, I mean, I love adventure, I love travel. I think I would go pretty much anywhere someone wanted me to go. I love visiting new cultures. I love trying new foods. I love new experiences. In that way, I'm brave to, get out there and try new things. I
Right.
think I do struggle with confidence, and always have, since I was a little girl. I think because I was always worried about what other people thought of me. I always wanted to fit in. I always wanted to, do well and be effective. And I think I lack confidence because I have still some deep rooted insecurities. And so I do think I come across confident, and
Yes, you
so when
do.
so people always go, "What? You have insecurities?" And I say, "Well, yeah, like especially before public speaking, I get super nervous. It's not my go-to gift, and I have to do a lot of it in my job. And but I do it. So I guess that's bravery if you do something that you're afraid of, but you do it anyway.
Yes, and I really appreciate that you are shedding some light on the fact that I think women do sort of lack some confidence, and we are concerned about what other people think. We are concerned about how we're coming across,
Yeah.
and hopefully as we get older and learn and want to step more into being brave, and like you said earlier, just caring less.
Yes. Yes, that's so true.
Yeah, caring less. So what gets
Caring more. Yeah, caring more, you know. I think it's like removing yourself from the equation. It's like it's not about me, right? It's not about it's about what I'm delivering and how people receive it. And like, and I can't control how people receive what I say, right? And
yes.
so yeah, And I guess in my old age, I'm becoming way more self-aware of the things that do hold me back, and leaning into that a lot more, you know.
Right. Well, I appreciate that about you, that you are reflecting and becoming more self-aware and wanting to minimize we I feel like we stop ourselves from doing the thing. And you were talking a little earlier about not loving public speaking. And usually there is some aspect of our job or our life that we're not too crazy about, but we have to somehow find a way to do it scared and do it anyway.
Yes, recently I've been trying to not use notes, and I find that whenever I don't use notes, I get way more positive feedback, like, "Oh my gosh, you nailed it today." Like, and then when I do use notes, I'm thinking it's my crutch, and I'm depending on following my notes, but I'm trying more and more to not have to use them and just speak from my heart. And it's really hard, to make that shift. But when I do it, I feel like I'm walking in my true self, right?
Oh,
And
wow. That's
so
No, that's great. And I would it would be hard for me to speak without notes on in given a certain situation. I mean, because you
right, if
go
it's a
over.
long, like a sermon type thing, or if it's a long talk, but if it's just an introduction or a closing or to a big event where I'm just doing the welcome and the announcements, or I'm closing it out at the end, I don't need to have notes, right?
Yes.
If I know what it is that I have to cover.
Right,
So,
right. Well, you mentioned in your professional work, so I do, I'm sure some of us are curious
mhm.
about what you do professionally.
Oh gosh. Well, just as a little background, I spent the first 16 years of my career in marketing and special events and advertising in kind of the corporate world. And then I spent 16 years in church ministry. Just made a big shift, used everything I knew from the marketing world and shifted it to the ministry world. Worked for two separate churches, one for 4 years, one for 12 years. And then God called me out of church ministry, and it was a season in my life where I didn't have something else to go to, but I did leave where I was serving, and I went through kind of a desert for a couple of years, spiritually and professionally, of not knowing where God was calling me, and I really didn't feel like I wanted to go back to the corporate world, and I really didn't feel like my skills would translate very well at that point I was too behind the eight ball with digital and all that to go
Yeah.
back to marketing and I didn't want to go to another church unless they were just really outward focused and very committed to the marginalized in our midst in the city. And then I also didn't want to go to a nonprofit unless it was faith based, and unless they could pay me because
You're right.
I spent 2 years raising my own support for Y Malawi, which was an amazing organization serving mainly women and children in Africa. That was incredible, but I wasn't very good at raising my own support, and asking people for money has never been
Right.
my
Yeah.
I wasn't able to make that shift from asking for money to getting people to join me in an opportunity, like
Right.
it still felt like asking for money. But so I just prayed and prayed and prayed for God to show me what my next step might be. And I really did a lot of searching into my purpose and my calling, and almost spent $1,000 on a coach to help, guide me in this journey of searching for what I was going to do next. And then this job came up on
Mm.
Indeed, director of church partnerships at the San Diego Rescue Mission. And I knew the CEO, Donnie D, a little bit because my dad had mentored him in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So they were really close. And so I
Mm.
asked him if he'd give me a tour. Well, this was before I saw the job. 2 years before I saw the job, I asked Donnie to give me a tour, and I was really moved by what the San Diego Rescue Mission did at the time. So when the job came up 2 years later, and I told Donnie, I just applied for your, it was a lot less money than what I was making. But it was right up my alley. It was like
Right.
being able to partner with the local church, get people from the church involved in, the needs right in our midst to live, to live and love like Jesus,
Yep.
on the streets of our city. It was just incredible. And so I started as the director of church partnerships. I got that job. And then he just kept giving me new things to do. Like I took over the volunteer program, I took over our holiday meals, and pretty soon he brought me onto the leadership team as the vice president of church partnerships. And then my title changed to vice president of church and community engagement, had a few more people on my team. And last November, I started as the senior VP of development and community engagement. We merged two departments into one. So now I oversee, many different aspects of development and marketing and community relations and community engagement and public relations and, for the organization. And I absolutely love it. It's the best job of my life. I get to see lives transformed every single
Mm,
day right before my eyes. I see people come in to the mission broken, hopeless, at the end of their rope, desperate, depressed, angry, closed-fisted. It's incredible, really, to then see them in the halls, a couple months later, 3 months later, and say, "How you doing?" And they're like, "I'm blessed. I'm blessed," and
wow.
they're putting in the hard work. We say there's a difference between meeting the needs of those experiencing homelessness and addressing the needs, because until you
Mm,
address the needs of the heart, those things
mm,
that led them to their homelessness to begin with, you're
right.
never going to be able to call them to a greater story, right? Because you
Ah,
can't just put people experiencing homelessness into housing. That's our philosophy, is that they're not ready to do all that. They're not ready to do life until they've worked on those deep rooted trauma,
right.
abuse, neglect. Sometimes the addictions leads to homelessness. Sometimes the homelessness leads to addiction. Same with mental illness. Sometimes the
Right.
mental illness leads to homelessness and vice versa. But when you hear the stories of the people coming in and see that they are human just like us, and
Mm,
they're willing to put in the work, to get well. I mean, that's basically what they have to say when they walk in our doors is, "I don't want to live this way anymore. I want to live, a new way." And we say,
right.
well, that can happen because lives are transformed here through the power of Jesus.
Right.
And so we lead with Jesus, and we, unapologetically, through and through, we tell them that only Jesus can change your life.
Right.
And so it's beautiful and wonderful and messy. And we always say we should have a reality TV show,
Oh my
what
gosh.
what happens at the mission. But to see them 12 months later walk out housed, sober, employed, or having some form of income, because some of them aren't able to work due
Yeah.
to a disability or due to their age or whatever. And then they're connected to a local church.
Wow.
That's all part of the goals while they're with us, is that they get connected to a church, they do job training and education, they get their housing squared away, and they experience recovery. I mean,
Mm,
and so the stories of transformation are what I get to hear and
mm.
celebrate and then push out to the community. And that's how we're all privately funded. We don't take any federal or state funding. So we have a $20 million budget this next year. And
Oh my gosh.
and we raise it all from private. There's only we've started taking limited local funding from cities who are hiring us to do outreach in their cities.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we have incredible outreach teams that, again, have that warmth and that genuine love of Christ in them. And so when they meet people in the storm drains and the canyons and the abandoned buildings, and they meet these people, they look them in the eye and they build trust and they call them to that greater story. They, you know, over time, they're able to get them to accept services, whether that's our shelter or whether that's a detox program or a mental health program or whatever it is, or we reunite them with family many times. So there's all
Oh,
kinds of things
wow.
that we do. So it really starts at the street level. We say from the streets to stability, you know, from hopeless to hopeful. That's kind of from surviving to thriving.
Right.
And so, yeah, we do take that limited city funding just for our outreach contracts. Yeah.
Wow, Michelle. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I knew that's what you did, but I didn't know
Mhm.
that's what you did. I mean, it was just like the tiny bit that I knew, but then you've really
Mm,
fleshed it out. And I love the distinction of like the Band-Aid approach
yeah.
versus, you know, actual authentic transformation,
Oh,
which is
thanks. Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
That's
Wow.
why it's the best job of my life. And I feel so blessed. And I just, you know, still pinch myself every day driving in that I get to do this. Now it's not easy and there is a lot of stress and there is a lot, you know, it's still a big job. But at the end of the day, it's so rewarding
Right.
it's fun to tell that story, you know.
Right. Well, one, thank you for what you're doing. It's clearly very important, necessary work, and I appreciate that you're out there in the trenches, really doing the
Thank
hard
you.
thing. And I would
Yeah.
imagine, I mean, I know you chose faith long before you had this job. So my
Mhm.
next question was going to be, why do you choose to have faith? So part of your answer
Yeah.
is likely wrapped up in what you're
Yeah.
doing right now.
Yeah. Um, there's really no other way to live in my, you know, mind, my heart, like than to have Jesus alongside me all the time. It's where I find my strength, my hope, my encouragement each and every day. I rest on his promises, God's promises for my life every single day. Um, you know, when I doubt, I hear him say, be strong and courageous. When I'm afraid, I hear him say, do not fear, I am with you, I'll never leave you or forsake you. When I'm you know, anytime I have any concerns at all in my life, I just trust him in all circumstances. I really try to be open-handed, like, Lord, I surrender, and instead of like close-fisted, I want to control. You know, it's so easy to want to control your situations and your circumstances that I really, I guess I've just learned over the years how to trust him more and more because of how faithful he's been in the past. You know,
Right,
if you look back on your life at all the times you were at real low points and the times you were at real high points, it was the high points where God had plucked you out of something hard and brought you into the light. And so if you can remember all those times, you know, when God was faithful, then you can trust him for the future.
right. Wow, Michelle, that's just so beautiful. It's so encouraging and inspiring, you know, to talk to you and be reminded what a faithful woman you are. How does God speak to you?
Um, Definitely through other wise people.
Mhm.
I I am drawn to people of faith who really have deep wisdom and knowledge and can speak truth to me and over me. So definitely people, but also mainly nature.
Mm,
Mainly my evening walks down to the beach are my solace and my sacred space. And I actually prefer to walk alone. I do have a couple of friends that I walk with, but I love walking alone and listening to worship music or sermons or whatever. And I am just in awe every single time I walk, even if it's the same walk, just at God's beauty and majesty. And
mm,
I feel very, very close to God when I'm in nature and like putting all my cares aside and just
right.
and then certain speakers and preachers and
Yes.
definitely. And then I also I lose myself sometimes in Bible like research. I'll find a passage and I'll be really intrigued and I'll just start Googling, what other people say about this passage or what, and maybe, different articles about this thought or this. And I love doing that. And I
Yeah.
feel like I get clarity about what God was saying the more I dig in.
Oh, and that's a good reminder to do that. I
Yeah,
like
I,
that.
I I Google everything and chat GBT, and I mean, I no, but I I do look for all these different perspectives on the same, topic.
Right.
And
And it's interesting because the little bit of reading I did this morning was where Jesus was saying you need to hate your mother, father, brother, sister. And I was like, oh, I remembered that, and can't credit whoever it was, the pastor, but that the actual definition of that was love less, love less. He wasn't really calling us to hate. He was calling us to love less the other peoples because we're to love him the most.
see, that's the kind of thing when you can find that new truth, then you're never going to forget that,
No,
you
I'm
know.
never going to forget that because it's like, what? Hey, what?
Right, right. That's so good. That's what I do. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. What is a current faith-based quote that's really speaking to you?
Okay, well, I looked up quotes that I have reposted
Okay,
because,
good.
well, there's quotes from C.S. Lewis
Yes.
and Richard Rohr and
Yes.
Shane Claiborne and I would say um, Pope Francis. So
Mm.
I mean, and then the one that I chose, hat maker, who I love, but this one, and guess who it is?
I don't
Stephen
know.
Colbert.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it.
But he's a man of faith, and
Yes, he
I
is.
really and
Yes,
I
he
love
is.
how he shares his faith. So it says, if this is going to be a Christian nation that doesn't help the poor, either we have to pretend that Jesus was just as selfish as we are, or
Oh,
we've got to acknowledge that he commanded us to love the poor and serve the needy without condition, and then admit that we just don't want to do it.
oh, I goosebumps are flying off my arms right here. Oh my, all over my body. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Isn't
Yes.
that powerful?
That. Yes, that.
Yeah, that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, anything in conclusion?
Um, hmm. Uh, well, like everyone else, I think I can speak for everyone and say I'm anxious about what's happening in our world today,
Hmm.
especially among the faith community. I I don't know how politics and religion have become so intertwined.
Hmm.
Um, when I read the red letters of the Bible, I see Jesus as a lover of all people. I see him say everyone is welcome at the table of God.
Hmm.
Um, I, regardless of race and gender and status and mental acuity and physical appearance and all those things, he sought out the marginalized, and he said, "Come, everyone is welcome at my
Right.
table." And I don't know how we have diverted so much from the teachings of Jesus
Hmm.
and still proclaim to know and follow him.
Yes.
And so this consumes a lot of my thinking right now.
I understand. I really do. It is a little bit, well, no, not a little bit. It's very mind-boggling. It is very
Mhm.
mind-boggling. Yes.
So that's what I struggle with more than anything. And
Yeah.
I have to force myself off of social media when big things happen, and because I just can't. It's just
Right.
it I can't
Hmm.
carry it all.
Right. Yes. Very understandable. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And where can people find you if you want to be found?
I don't want to be found. Just kidding.
No, that's
No,
fine.
no, no, no.
They could
No,
probably
I'm on
find you through the San
Instagram.
Diego Rescue Mission
Oh,
would be
yes,
one way to find you.
sdrescue.org. And I would love to give anyone a tour of the mission. You just reach out to me on at sdrescue.org. You'll find me on there. And I would love, and I'm on Instagram, and that's where I share most of my views. And, Michelle LeBeau 1. That's my
Yes,
Instagram.
there we love it. Love it.
And I don't have a restriction. I mean, you can just see
Right.
my stuff. It's not like
It's not a secret. It's not a
yeah,
secret.
no, I didn't mean to say I don't want to be followed, but
No, no, no. It's,
I've
because
become way more introverted in my old age.
well, and some people are like, no, I don't really have a thing. I just came on for a conversation. So I want to be
Yeah,
respectful if people,
yeah,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
thank you, Michelle. This has been truly a blessing.
Oh, thank you. It's blessed me as well. And you're a very easy person to talk to.
Oh, good.